There's a kind of person you rarely see. Life hits them, but they don't fall apart. Someone insults them, and they don't immediately defend themselves. Someone walks away, and they don't beg them to stay. A plan fails, and instead of collapsing, they adjust. Pressure rises, but somehow their mind becomes quieter. You may look at someone like this and think they were simply born strong. They weren't. They trained for it, because mental strength is not something you magically receive when life becomes difficult. It is something you build before difficulty arrives. And that is where Stoicism becomes powerful. The ancient Stoics understood something that most people learn far too late. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can train the person who faces it. Your emotions can be trained. Your attention can be trained. Your reactions can be trained. Your perspective can be trained. And when you train those things long enough, something changes. The same situations that once destroyed your peace begin to lose their power. Today, we're going through 10 Stoic principles that can completely change the way you deal with pressure, rejection, anger, uncertainty, and other people's opinions. But don't treat these as 10 motivational quotes. Treat them as 10 mental exercises, because knowing the principle means almost nothing. Practicing it is what changes you. Let's begin. Rule 1. Never give your first reaction the final word. Something happens. Someone sends you a disrespectful message. Someone criticizes your work. Someone suddenly changes their attitude toward you. Your body reacts before your mind has even caught up. Your heart speeds up. Your anger rises. And your first instinct says, answer them. Defend yourself. Show them they are wrong. But there is a tiny moment between what happens and what you do next. That moment is where your power lives. Most people don't use it. They react immediately. And once the reaction escapes, they cannot take it back. One angry message can damage a relationship. One emotional decision can destroy an opportunity. One impulsive sentence can create a problem that lasts for months. The Stoic approach is different. Pause. Not forever. Just long enough to regain ownership of your mind. Take a breath. Notice what you're feeling. Then ask, will this response improve my situation? Or am I simply releasing an emotion? That question can save you from hundreds of unnecessary battles. Imagine two people standing in the same storm. One runs around fighting the wind. The other plants his feet and waits for the storm to pass. The storm is identical. The difference is the person's response. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to answer every insult. You don't need to prove yourself every time someone misunderstands you. Sometimes the strongest response is no immediate response at all. When you control the pause, you stop being easy to manipulate. People can still provoke you. They simply can't decide what you do next. And that is the beginning of emotional strength. Rule 2. Separate facts from the story in your head. Here is one of the most important mental habits you can develop. Separate what happened from what you think it means. Imagine you send someone a message. They don't respond. That's the fact. But then your mind begins writing a movie. They're ignoring me. They don't respect me. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe they don't care anymore. Now you're suffering from a story rather than an event. The event was simple. There was no reply. Everything after that was interpretation. This happens constantly. Someone looks at you strangely. You assume they dislike you. Someone criticizes you. You decide you're a failure. Someone rejects you. You decide you're not good enough. But reality and interpretation are not the same thing. A powerful Stoic practice is to strip an event down to its simplest description. Instead of saying, "This is humiliating," say, "I made a mistake in front of people." Instead of, "They're disrespecting me," say, "They said something I didn't appreciate." Instead of, "My life is falling apart." Ask, "What exactly happened?" This sounds simple, but it changes everything. Because emotions become much more powerful when your mind adds a dramatic story to reality. The next time something upsets you, divide a page into 2 parts. On one side, write, "What happened?" On the other, "What am I telling myself about what happened?" You may discover that the second column is creating most of your suffering. You cannot always control reality, but you can become more careful about the meaning you attach to it. And when you stop turning every event into a personal attack, you become much harder to disturb. Rule 3. Guard your attention like money. Most people think their biggest resource is time. It isn't. Your attention may be even more valuable, because whatever repeatedly receives your attention eventually begins shaping your mind. Think about what happens when you spend an hour consuming negative content. You don't simply lose an hour. You carry some of that negativity with you. You scroll. You compare. You argue. You check what other people are doing. You watch people living lives that aren't yours. And then you wonder why your mind feels exhausted. Mental energy leaks through small openings. A pointless argument, an endless conversation, constant notifications, complaining, jealousy, doom scrolling, trying to keep up with everyone. You don't notice the damage immediately, but eventually your mind becomes crowded. Imagine a glass of clean water. One drop of dirt doesn't seem important, neither does another. But keep adding dirt, and eventually the entire glass becomes cloudy. Your mind works the same way. So start asking a simple question before giving something your attention. Is this worth the mental energy it will cost me? Not every message deserves a response. Not every opinion deserves consideration. Not every person deserves unlimited access to your attention. Not every argument deserves your participation. Protecting your attention isn't selfish. It's discipline. If you constantly feed your mind noise, don't be surprised when you struggle to hear your own thoughts. Create periods of silence. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Spend less time consuming things that make you angry or insecure. Be selective about the people and information you allow into your mental space, because what enters your mind repeatedly eventually becomes part of how you think. Rule 4. Stop demanding that life follow your plan. A huge amount of frustration comes from one hidden belief. This shouldn't be happening. You expected someone to appreciate you. They didn't. You expected your plan to work. It failed. You expected someone to stay. They left. You expected life to be fair. It wasn't. And now you're angry. But look carefully. The event is only part of the problem. The other part is the expectation you attach to it. A mentally strong person doesn't assume everything will go according to plan. They make plans. They work hard. They pursue goals. But they leave room for reality to surprise them. Think about a sailor. A sailor cannot command the ocean. They cannot order the wind to blow in a particular direction. They cannot eliminate every wave. They adjust the sails. That's the difference between control and acceptance. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It means refusing to waste energy arguing with reality. You can still work toward success while accepting that failure is possible. You can love people while accepting that they may disappoint you. You can make plans while accepting that circumstances can change. Before starting something important, tell yourself, this may not go exactly how I want. That sentence doesn't make you negative. It makes you prepared. When reality surprises you, you adapt instead of collapsing. And the person who can adapt is difficult to break. Rule 5. Use pain as raw material. Pain is unavoidable. Rejection happens. Failure happens. Loss happens. Embarrassment happens. Disappointment happens. The question isn't whether you will experience pain. The question is, what will you build from it? Most people try to escape uncomfortable emotions immediately. They distract themselves. They scroll. They drink. They argue. They blame someone. They pretend nothing happened. But suppressed pain doesn't automatically disappear. Sometimes it simply waits. Stoicism teaches a different approach. Feel the emotion. Understand it. Then decide what to do with it. Anger can become discipline. Failure can become education. Rejection can become self-improvement. Frustration can become focus. Pain can become perspective. Imagine a piece of metal inside a furnace. Heat doesn't automatically destroy it. Under the right process, heat changes it into something stronger and more useful. Pressure can do the same to a person. Someone rejects you? Don't spend 6 months trying to convince them of your value. Improve yourself. You failed? Study what went wrong. You were disrespected? Don't become obsessed with revenge. Become more disciplined. You lost an opportunity? Build the skills that create the next one. The goal isn't to pretend pain doesn't hurt. The goal is to refuse to let pain become wasted energy. When life gives you something difficult, ask, what can this experience teach me? That question turns suffering into information, and information can become growth. Rule 6. Stop living inside tomorrow. How many problems have you experienced that never actually happened? You imagine a conversation going badly. You imagine losing your job. You imagine someone rejecting you. You imagine failing. You imagine embarrassing yourself. And your body reacts as if the imaginary event is already real. This is one of the traps of overthinking. Your mind creates a possible future, then your emotions treat that future like a fact. But tomorrow has not happened. The only moment you can actually work with is this one. Ask yourself, what requires my attention right now? Not next month, not next year, not the worst possible scenario. Right now. If you have an exam tomorrow, prepare today. If you have a difficult conversation tomorrow, prepare what you need to say today. If there is nothing you can do about something right now, stop mentally fighting it. Bring your attention back to your body. Feel your breathing. Look around the room. Notice what you're doing. Take the next useful action. Overthinking often grows when there is too much mental space and too little action. So replace endless prediction with preparation. Replace imaginary battles with real steps. You don't need to solve your entire future tonight. You only need to handle what is actually in front of you. Rule 7. Build a life that doesn't require applause. There is a dangerous form of dependence that many people never recognize. Approval. You post something and immediately check who reacted. You accomplish something and wait for praise. You help someone and secretly expect gratitude. You make a decision and worry about what everyone will think. Slowly, your emotional state becomes connected to other people's opinions. If they praise you, you feel valuable. If they criticize you, you feel worthless. That's not freedom. That's dependence. Imagine building a house and giving everyone else the keys. Anyone can walk inside. Anyone can rearrange the furniture. Anyone can decide whether you feel comfortable. That's what happens when you allow other people's opinions to control your self-worth. A Stoic asks a different question. Not, do they approve of me? But, did I act according to my principles? You don't need everyone to understand your choices. You don't need everyone to like you. You don't need applause for every good thing you do. Do the right thing even when nobody notices. Work when nobody is watching. Improve when nobody is congratulating you. Keep your standards when nobody is checking. Because real confidence isn't built from applause. It is built from evidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your self-respect grows. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, your confidence grows. Every time you act according to your values despite pressure, your character grows. Stop asking the world to constantly confirm your worth. Build a standard inside yourself that doesn't rise and fall with public opinion. Rule 8. Become comfortable with silence. When was the last time you spent 10 minutes alone without a phone? No music, no social media, no videos, no conversation, just silence. For many people, that sounds uncomfortable, and that discomfort is worth examining. Because when everything becomes quiet, you begin hearing the thoughts you've been avoiding. Your worries, your insecurities, your unfinished decisions, your emotions, your questions. So people reach for distraction. Another video, another notification, another conversation, another scroll. But distraction doesn't solve what silence reveals. It only postpones it. The Stoics valued reflection because they understood that a person who never examines their mind can easily become controlled by it. Start with 10 minutes. Sit somewhere quiet. Put the phone away. Don't try to force your thoughts to disappear. Simply observe them. A thought appears. Notice it. Another thought appears. Notice that one too. You don't have to obey every thought. You don't have to fight every emotion. You can simply watch. Think about a lake. When the surface is constantly disturbed, you cannot see what lies beneath it. But when the water becomes still, the reflection becomes clear. Your mind works similarly. Constant stimulation creates mental noise. Silence gives you perspective. The more comfortable you become alone with your thoughts, the less desperate you become for distraction. And eventually, you discover something important. Peace doesn't always require changing the outside world. Sometimes it requires becoming still enough to see the inside world clearly. Rule 9. Learn to zoom out. Something is bothering you right now. Maybe it's an argument, a mistake, a financial problem, a rejection, a bad day. Whatever it is, ask yourself, will this matter 1 year from now? Then ask, will it matter 5 years from now? And finally, will this matter at the end of my life? You may be surprised by how many things suddenly shrink. Perspective changes the size of a problem. Imagine standing directly beneath a massive building. It looks enormous. Now imagine seeing the same building from an airplane. It becomes smaller. The building didn't change. Your perspective did. The same thing happens with problems. When you're emotionally close to something, it can consume your entire world. But when you step back mentally, you see that your life contains much more than this one event. This doesn't mean ignoring serious problems. It means refusing to make temporary problems larger than your entire life. A mistake is an event. It isn't your identity. A bad day is a day. It isn't your entire future. Someone's rejection is one person's decision. It isn't a final judgment on your worth. Zoom out. Look at the larger timeline. Look at everything you've already survived. Look at how many things you once thought were impossible that eventually became memories. Your emotions may tell you, this is everything. Perspective reminds you, this is one moment, and sometimes that is enough to restore your peace. Rule 10. Watch your mind instead of becoming your mind. This final principle ties everything together. You have thoughts, but you are not every thought you have. You experience anger, but anger is not your identity. You experience fear, but fear does not have to make your decisions. You experience sadness, but sadness doesn't have to define your future. Imagine standing beside a road watching cars pass. One car is anger, another is fear, another is doubt, another is excitement, another is insecurity. They arrive, they pass, then another appears. You don't have to jump into every car. You can watch it go by. The same is true with your mind. Instead of saying, I am angry, try, anger is present. Instead of, I am anxious, try, anxiety is showing up. Instead of, I am afraid, try, fear is here. That small change creates distance, and distance creates choice. You can observe an emotion without obeying it. You can notice a thought without believing it. You can feel an impulse without acting on it. That is emotional mastery. Not becoming emotionless, not becoming cold, not pretending nothing hurts. Real strength means you can experience powerful emotions without handing them the steering wheel. And once you understand that, all 10 principles connect. Pause before reacting. Separate facts from interpretation. Protect your attention. Release unrealistic expectations. Transform pain into growth. Return to the present. Stop chasing approval. Become comfortable with silence. Zoom out when small problems become huge. And finally, observe your own mind. These aren't tricks. They're practices. And practice is what separates knowledge from transformation. So the next time someone provokes you, pause. The next time your mind creates a disaster that hasn't happened, return to the present. The next time you crave approval, remember your own standards. The next time pain enters your life, ask what you can build from it. The next time a small problem feels like the end of the world, zoom out. And the next time an emotion rises, remember, you can feel it without becoming it. Life will still be difficult. People will still disappoint you. Plans will still fail. Loss will still happen. You'll still have bad days. Stoicism doesn't promise a life without storms. It teaches you how to become stronger than the storm, because the ultimate goal isn't to control the world. You can't. The goal is to become the kind of person who remains grounded even when the world becomes chaotic. A person who thinks before reacting. A person who chooses discipline over impulse. A person who doesn't need constant approval. A person who can sit alone without escaping. A person who can experience pain without being destroyed by it. A person who can look at chaos and still think clearly. That person isn't born. That person is built. One decision at a time. One pause at a time. One difficult day at a time. So don't wait until life becomes easier. Train your mind while life is difficult. Because when you can remain calm while everything around you is moving, you possess something far more valuable than comfort. You possess control. And once you learn to control yourself, the world loses much of its power over you. Stay disciplined. Stay aware. And most importantly, don't let every storm inside your mind become a storm in your life.